Hi, welcome into the Fourth and Long podcast, the show where championship advice comes at no price. Today is Thursday, August 25th. My name is Nate Young, and I'm here with my co host, Paul Collins. And today we're going to do some draft interrogations for you, which is basically just going over our teams and our league's rosters and giving our peace of mind and a little bit of what we think they need to do further into the season. And I'm looking forward to it, so I hope you do too. Enjoy the podcast today.
Where are they? Where are they? Where are they? Where are they?
Welcome in, listeners. I hope you enjoyed that clip we had there. Paul, what'd you think of that little nugget that I threw in there in the intro?
Ah, man, first reaction when I first seen it, I started dying laughing. Just to give everybody a little back history on it, me and Nate, we talked a lot before the draft, and we had a good idea of who was going in the first, like, kind of couple rounds, almost the second round. We knew that Connor was more than likely, and Connor is Nate's brother. For anyone that doesn't know, that's a new listener. Uh, we knew Connor that was gonna take Travis Kelsey on the flip of the first round, so at the draft, I was just demoralized. So that little clip is a little back history on that.
Yeah, it's
Just
showing
sad.
Paul interrogating my brother. If you didn't know who the people were, but yeah,
I
well,
tried to talk him out of it at the draft. I'm not gonna lie. I
given
wanted
his
Kelsey.
best manipulations, another reason you do in person drafts, right? You try to get someone's head. So going into that, we're gonna do like you heard before, we're gonna do our draft recaps today. So no really news today. Not much has really came out, at least on our end. So if something comes out in the meantime, I'm sure we'll catch you back up on Tuesday. So without further ado, we will go right into the draft interrogations and give you a quick look at me and Paul's lineup to start. If you want to learn more about this, we did an episode on Tuesday that was released that involves both these lineups in a little more depth. So we're not going to really go over too much of those today, and we're going to move right ahead and go on to Jackson. So, Paul, if you want to give your best explanation of this lineup.
Yeah. So today we're gonna go into. I think Nate's gonna do four teams, and I'm gonna do four teams. We're gonna go into each matchup. Yeah. Just looking at Jackson's team overall, I think he absolutely killed it with his first three picks. I mean, when you start off the draft, I mean, you had the first overall pick, Jonathan Taylor. Uh, Christian McCaffrey is my number one if it's me sitting at one. But starting off with Christian or with Jonathan Taylor, and then his second round pick, he went C.D. Lamb, and then Saquon Barkley managed to fault him in the third round. That's a little wild to me because I honestly thought about taking him in the second. Uh, so him falling the third for him is absolutely insane to me.
Yeah, that's great value. I mean, I agree. I'm not even the hugest Saquon fan because he was going, I think, mid second round in a lot of leagues, and I wasn't willing to take him there.
Yeah,
But I think if he's sitting in the third, there's no doubt. It's not even a question. It's an auto pick for me.
yeah. So the negative, the really only negative I have with this team is just the sole fact that Brees Hall in the fourth round, I feel like I'm not high on Brees Hall at all, and all the reports going on with Michael Carter running with the ones. I think if you look at a situation with his team, if Brees Hall gets off to a slow start, and I'm not knock on wood, this doesn't happen. A Saquon injury would force Tony Pollard as his RB3, and with a Brees Hall slow start, I feel like that's a lot asking for his team when you already have Dalton Schultz as his tight end one, and CeeDee Lamb as his wide receiver one. I feel like you're asking a lot from the Cowboys offense in a scenario that Saquon does get hurt early and a slow start from Brees Hall.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think I don't even mind Brees Hall the prospect, but I think he was going too high this year, fourth round. And now
Yeah.
the fact that you have to rely on him is the issue. It's not that he can't do it; it's
Yes.
that you need him to do it. So, but I guess you don't when you have Jonathan Taylor and Saquon. So if you can put him in the flex, it wasn't the worst pick, but like you said, the lack of running back depth behind it could put him in a bad situation.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
No, no, what's something you would think he should move forward with this year? Uh,
Moving forward, I would definitely sell high on the week that Brees Hall does do good. Because right now I'm looking at his roster, he's currently in a situation where Brees Hall is in his flex. So looking forward, I would definitely look on the waiver wire for more of a flex option. If one of his bench players doesn't emerge, like a Devontae Smith or a Juju Smith-Schuster, I think Juju is one of those guys that could emerge later on in the season. But starting him in the flex early season is definitely a little suspect. So definitely look on getting a better flex option. Either that's through a trade or the waiver wire.
Yeah, I think it's
And a stronger QB option. I think he's got Derek Carr's as QB. Yeah, Derek Carr's as QB1. Definitely look at the stronger options like streaming options on the waiver wire for quarterbacks.
yeah. I mean, I think that's partially just matchup week one, and then you're streaming from there if you're going that late in
Yep.
draft. So I don't think it's the worst thing against the Chargers. It's probably going to be a shootout, so probably not a bad start to the season. All
Yeah.
right. I think that was
Let's
a
look
good
in the Braves
analysis
team.
of Jackson. Where do you think you'll finish this year, Paul? I'll put you on the spot. I know I said I wasn't going to
Oof.
do this, but give your.
Yeah. Based off his team right now, I don't think. Well, actually, I take that back. Jonathan Taylor and Saquon is a like league-winning duo if they stay healthy. And with the upside of Juju, I feel like this is a playoff team in my eyes. Come later in the season,
Playoff
uh,
team.
the fantasy playoffs for sure.
All right. I like that analysis. All right. Move on to Brad Young, which is also my father, if anyone was wondering. But absolutely not biased. I think if anyone not knows the league, I will roast anyone in my family if I get the opportunity to do
He
so.
definitely will.
So this is,
Definitely will.
if anything, the compliments are hard to give. But I mean, there is a lot of compliments on this team that start. I mean, Austin Eckler and Leonard Fournette, I think, pretty safe running backs. I do have a question of Leonard Fournette. I mean, he was pretty good at the end of last season. It's just, all the reports. I know it's stupid, but all the reports him going in fat and stuff like that. And it's just, and there's a lot of turmoil going around the Buccaneers right now. But I mean, he is the only running back there really that's worth any value in my mind. So I mean, if he sees the production he did last year, I don't know how he doesn't produce running back two stats. It's always a hard pick to take Leonard Fournette. But
Oh yeah, absolutely.
yeah, but T. Higgins and DJ Moore, I really like that combination because I think T. Higgins has a lot of upside, and I think he's a really good receiver, and I think DJ Moore is just safe. I mean, I think he's going to get the targets. He's going to do what he gets four touchdowns like he does every year, but he's going to break probably 1,100 yards. He's just going to get 10 targets a game. So, I mean, that's just the DJ Moore story, and I wouldn't be surprised if it repeats. And if it does, that's a good RB. That's a good wide receiver too, especially when you have the questions of Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin coming off the questionable. Not sure if he's even going to play week one. And if he does, I mean, how healthy can he be with all the wide receivers there now too? They might not need him to be as might not need him to rush back like he used to have to
Yeah,
do. So I mean,
he's got really good wide receiver depth as well. Gabe Davis just sitting on the bench is absolutely insane.
oh, absolutely. I was just going to get to that. I mean, this was the heartbreaker of the draft for me. I was
Yes.
two
Yep.
picks after him. I waited on Gabe Davis to the next round. I thought there's no chance. I mean, what was it, round 6, I think? So he went high, and I'm like, I was looking forward to it. I have Josh Allen. I was looking for the stack, and he broke my heart. But I mean, if you're breaking my heart, it's probably a good sign when he's on your bench, because
Yeah.
um,
It's actually round 7 for Gabe Davis. That's even wilder.
it just hurts. I should have took him.
It really does.
But anyway, moving forward with that and the analysis of his team, I do love Gabe Davis, especially with the questions of Chris Godwin and the questions that can be behind T. Higgins being a wide receiver too. Um, but I think his real struggle is Austin Eckler and Leonard Fournette are great, but I don't really like any of the depth running backs that he has. I mean, Cordell Patterson with a running quarterback and Marcus Mariota and Tyler Algiers doing nothing but showing great signs in camp. I mean, I just don't see where the passing. I mean, he made his money off the passing volume last year. And Matt Ryan's gone, a guy that's notorious for passing to the running back. So I mean,
And I just want to throw in a quick note that if you're buying into the stat that I keep seeing on Twitter, it's the running backs that turn 27 the last 7 years have never had a top or 300-point finish in fantasy. The last 7 years, Leonard Fournette and Austin Eckler are both 27 this year. So definitely, will there be like more like stability issues with their age?
yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
know.
That's a great point, and I think he has okay. I mean, I think Miles Sanders may be able to start unlike last year, but who knows? I
Yeah.
mean, Philadelphia. I do not want to have to rely on Philadelphia running back. Not saying he does because I mean it's his running back four. So, but I mean the obvious things I think you should do moving forward is focus on tight ends. I like Zach Ertz, but I mean, tight ends are so fluky. It's probably a stream week to week thing for him as well. And then, but overall, I think this is a really good lineup. I mean, I think he has a great shot to be safe all year around and be in every game he plays. So, I mean, I'm going to put this as a playoff team. Absolutely. I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if it was top 4.
Yeah, with Patty Mahomes as a starting quarterback too, like I mean that's a strong option. Just
Yeah,
got to keep those running backs healthy, man.
honestly
Got
didn't
to.
bring it up because I just thought it was assumed. You got Pat Mahomes.
Pat
I
Mahomes.
I guess the issue is with losing your number one receiver might go down in a little bit of value, but I think Andy Reid and them will figure that out. So yeah, playoff
Yeah,
team for sure. Maybe top 4 is where I would put it. We'll
absolutely.
move on here to Kevin LaGrange and Tanner Murphy, and
Yeah,
go to Kevin's team. Give your
yeah. So,
thoughts on this.
yeah, so I got Kevin's team. We're gonna start off with the positive. Just looking at the overall draft, his draft. I mean, he got 2 great values. AJ Brown fell to him in the 5th round. I think everyone in the league, including myself, I think we overvalued the idea of AJ Brown in Philadelphia. I think AJ Brown's normally mocked to go in like the 3rd round. So him got him 2 rounds later, and then getting Alice Goddard in the 13th, a little wild to me because I mean Goddard has a potential to finish as the top 5 tight end, depending on how well Jalen Hurts will be. Now, on the flip side of that, having both these guys on your team when you have a run first quarterback is a little sus. I'm not gonna lie to you. And then with him having Michael Pittman as a wide receiver 1, I personally love Pittman, but I do see the concerns with Pittman this year. Um, and him being his wide receiver 1 could be a little shaky. And then having the young back and Travis Etienne, we'll see how that goes. I love Etienne. I know a lot of people aren't. And then we got Jalen Waddle with a new quarterback, or not with a new quarterback, just Tyreek Hill coming in, new situation. Will we see less targets? But Adam Thielen is solid. I really love Adam Thielen's his wide receiver 4. So this team overall, I don't see this team being a playoff team long term. I know this is a shot at Kevin, but I don't see this team being a playoff team long term. And I don't know if a waiver wire addition will fix this team. I definitely see this team being a type to sell high on like a Travis Etienne. And who knows, I may be the one calling for that trade.
Yeah. So what do you think yeah, you say you don't know, but I mean, if there was one specific spot, see, obviously his running backs are pretty safe in my opinion. I think what
Yeah,
you're getting at is he has good players on his team, but I don't see the great player on his team. For
yeah,
Najee being your running back 1, I mean, I really like Najee Harris. Don't get me wrong, but when I'm drafting guys in the 1st round and 2nd, like I want to see the ability to get the number 1 running back. And I mean, is it possible for him to get more touches than he did last season? And I don't
yeah.
think
That's the concern.
you know what I mean? Like he got so many
Yeah,
catches and so many rushing opportunities, and that's why he's staying in the 1st round, which he belongs. But if he's not getting me running back number 1 upside and a chance to be that, it's hard to win like that. You
It-
15
it's almost
points.
like they're drafting him at his absolute ceiling.
Yeah, I mean a lot of
That's tough.
yeah, it really is. I mean, it's hard to say though because he's a 2nd-year running back, and the offensive line was pretty terrible, so it could get better. So there is upside there, and I wouldn't be surprised if he went out and killed it. It's just, I mean, man, I can't see him getting more targets than he did last season in an offense that doesn't look to get better. So, I mean, that's where
Yeah.
I'm at. I think he will be right on that edge of fighting for a playoff spot, maybe a 6th pick if you were to ask me.
I think he's one trade away from definitely fixing this team and getting a like better situation. Because I mean, he has the 3 running backs there. I think he could definitely make a move to better his team for sure.
I just think it's one of those things when you're relying on 3 kind of questions. I mean, one of them's going to hit, but if
Yeah,
2 of them don't, you're still in a bad spot. You know what I mean? When you have that many questions. So we'll see though. I mean, AJ Brown, and if your Jalen Hurts take is right, somehow becomes this insane quarterback for fantasy, which he absolutely can, and start throwing the ball more with
yeah.
the addition of AJ Brown. I mean, we're looking stupid right now. So we'll see. Moving
And then the
on,
Tanner's team.
yeah. Moving on to born again Christian.
What a name.
I'll let you figure that out for yourselves. And he took your number 1 pick, which was Christian McCaffrey, And honestly,
Yeah.
I was on the line between the two. It's so tough. Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey. I probably would have went Taylor just because I think he's safer, less injury prone in my opinion. So I'm taking just a stud running back that I think would have less chance to get injured. But I think if Christian McCaffrey's healthy for 17 games of the season, he's the running back one. That's not
Yep.
the question. So
100% agree.
yeah, but I really do like his starting lineup. There is some questions in it for me for sure. I mean, at tight end, Darren Waller wasn't that high of a pick. I think he did reach for him a little bit because he saw the tight end run happening, and I realized he took him like right after Kittle. And I mean, there's so many. Everyone in everyone in LA right now feels like a target haul. I mean, you had why did people take Darren Waller? Because he got so many targets. Why did people take
Yeah.
Hunter Renfro? Because he got so many targets. Why did they just pick up Devontae Adams? Excuse me. It's because he got so many targets, and there's only so many targets to go around. You
There's
know what I mean? Like,
there's one football, man.
yeah,
One football.
and like you gotta. I mean, I think he's gonna be fine, but I just don't see the value coming back at that pick. I really don't. I would rather take a tight end late. That was kind of where my tier ended. I would take Hawkinson over Waller in my opinion, and then after that, I was kind of out on him. I didn't end up with any leagues, so I mean, we'll see. I could be wrong, but I think it would take an injury to Adams or Renfro to really give this guy some serious value. And moving on, Jerry Jeudy, Brandon Ayuk, Tyreek Hill, Deontay Johnson. I think three of these four, I mean, four out of the four could be honestly great NFL receivers. Two of them already established that. And but the issue is all four of these have a new quarterback going into the system. I mean, Tyreek Hill, Tua, Deontay Johnson, Mitch Trubisky, or Kenny Pickett, Jerry Jeudy, Russell Wilson. The only one that I think actually benefits from this new quarterback, and Brandon Ayuk, Trey Lance. So, I mean, I think these are great receivers, but it always is a question, when you don't know who you never seen this player with a quarterback, and you're drafting these guys pretty high. So, I mean, I could see it working out, but I don't see him getting better than they did last year with Patrick Mahomes. And maybe, I mean, Big Ben's a question, but still, I think he's better than Mitchell Trubisky and Brandon
Yeah.
Ayuk with Trey Lance. I mean, I don't see Trey Lance being a better option a better quarterback for his options than Jimmy Garoppolo. I really don't. So, I mean, that's where my questions are with it here. But in the Kyler Murray quarterback, I actually love Kyler, so I think that was a good pick. I mean, you got him pretty late in the draft. I think like ninth round or something crazy like that.
Yeah, that was the theme of our draft. Quarterbacks went. I mean, the first four went early, and I think we were the two of those. But we both agree that we could have took the quarterback late. So definitely him taking Kyler late is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And I mean, we could throw it in at the very end of the episode if we remember. We'll talk about the trade that you actually did with Tanner,
I did,
and we'll throw that in maybe at the very end of the episode.
Yeah, we can discuss that. But
overall, what do you think? What do you think about playoff wise? Is this like a playoff like on the line? Do you think a guaranteed lock?
I mean, this is a tough one. I think I'm gonna go playoff on the line because just for the fact that there's so many questions on the roster of McCaffrey could get injured, Tyreek Hill with a new quarterback, Deontay Johnson with a new quarterback, Ayuk with a new quarterback. Like, there's so many questions, and that's why it's so hard to pick. Is because if they hit, I am so wrong about this. It's not even funny. He's a team one, but it's just you can't. You got to imagine something's going to happen to this roster. I mean, there's so many questions to it, so that's the issue. But I mean, you can't go wrong with McCaffrey and Aaron Jones. I love that combination.
I feel like you kind of drafted like three kind of stronger PPR option receivers like Deontay Johnson, Jeudy, and Waddle. Or no, not Waddle. No, I'm looking at the wrong team. Sorry. But Deontay Johnson and Jeudy, I feel like are more PPR options. You got to understand the league being half point. Will they score enough touchdowns to maintain like decent fantasy value?
Yeah,
that's something we'll have to see.
Yeah, they're real safe. But I mean, if you're safe and you have Aaron Jones and Chris McCaffrey playing all season, then you're fine. But that it's honestly CMC is just going to determine whether that team's good or not, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah.
So we'll move on to Joshua Burke with of course, the name that pushes
the most loved man in the league. What can I say?
I would say the opposite.
Yeah. So looking at Josh's team, I'm gonna start with the negatives because I feel like you would respect that more. I feel like you would like that more. We start out with the negatives for Josh. So looking at his team, I feel like the strong negative that I think we both agree on, he took Zeke in the third round over Nick Chubb. Now Nick Chubb falling to the third is a little insane. But I feel like there's a big drop off when you talk about Chubb. I feel like Chubb's at that very end of that tier, and then Zeke is kind of like below it. So I feel like that was like the one mistake I'd seen from his team. Definitely taking Chubb or taking Zeke over Chubb. And then I mean it's worth noting with Brandon or Debo Samuel, we got a new quarterback this year with Trey Lance. How will the transition work between those two? Will we see Brandon Ayuk emerge more in the passing game? Will Debo get more of the rushing like he did last year? We got the incentives in the contract, but who knows? But yeah, another positive that I've seen on his team is Jalen Hurts. You got Jalen Hurts in the ninth round, which is absolutely insane to me. I'm pretty sure he's currently mocked in like the sixth, so 3 round gap value. A little nuts to me, and I can't believe Jalen Hurts going in the ninth. It just breaks my heart because I took Justin Herbert in the sixth. Um, but in terms of playoff team, I feel like Josh's team. I know this. I know you're gonna hate me hearing this. I think Josh is honestly a playoff team, and just looking at his overall roster, I don't know if there's much to improve on in terms of his week one starting lineup. But yeah, definitely just probably running back depth on the waiver wire. Just because other than his top three guys, there's really nothing outside of that. But looking to improve his team, I would definitely say waiver wire additions for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Paul, my one question to your playoff prediction is when it's week 8 and Dave Montgomery is still in the flex and Khalil Herbert is sharing time and he's getting less than 10 points in the week, and we get the text in the chat, why are they not giving David Montgomery the ball more? This is unfair. It's the only reason my team's bad. You got to
just a,
remember things such as that.
just a quick backstory. This dude Josh would refuse to take Miles Sanders out of his lineup every week, and he just questioned why Miles Sanders wasn't getting the ball. It's just
It was a
hilarious.
constant complaint. Why isn't Miles Sanders getting the ball? This is why I'm losing. What am I supposed to do about it? Take him out of your lineup. It's not that then. So, yeah, I mean that is a concern. Just honestly, I really do like Josh's team. I was giving him crap. I think this is definitely a playoff roster, but I think it's a playoff roster. But one of these guys gets injured, and the lack of trading and waiver wire pickups sometimes is not waiver wire, but the lack of trading can hurt you. So, I mean, Derrick Henry
Be
with that
more
foot
willing to
injury and the
trade.
Jones fracture in his foot, is reoccurring. So there is a thought there. But I mean,
Yeah,
if this team's healthy, he's a playoff team. So I would agree with that.
Josh, you need to be more willing to trade.
Agreed. Trading makes the league fun. All right.
Yes.
Thick log. We'll move to Logan Meyer, who took 3 quarterbacks in the draft. You don't see it here for Jahan Dotson, but this man drafted 3 quarterbacks. This is that offline draft anticipation. People get in your head making bad choices, but honestly, sadly, hate to admit it with a guy that drafted 3 quarterbacks. I really do love his roster. I think Alvin Kamara in second was a steal. Kind of, I'm high on Javante, so I'm not too upset, but that does hurt. I mean, I'm like, gosh, someone just take him before me, so I didn't have to make that decision. But James Conner, I think he's pretty safe. I do like James Conner this year. I don't buy into any of the Benjamin news and stuff like that. I think he's going to be the running back one there and be very consistent like he was last season. Not just consistent, good. He was really good last season. I think an underrated fantasy player. And people and having an underrated fantasy player in Alvin Kamara with Cooper Kupp in your lineup. I mean, I just maybe he's not the wide receiver one, but it would be hard pressed for me to believe that he's not at top 3 wide receiver if he's healthy. I mean, just so many targets. You won a Super Bowl doing that strategy. So, I mean, I don't think you can go wrong with Cooper Kupp. I really don't. And
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks is
All good.
safe. Safe, always safe. I think, but I mean, there's the year he's going to fall off. He is getting older, and he's on a bad offense, so we'll
Yeah.
see. But I mean, I think until he falls off, it's hard to not draft him where he's going. He's always going less than ADP, and he always returns more than it. So until that happens, I think you have to take him. And Kittle
It's
is the
worth.
concern. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just say it's worth noting this is our league champion last year.
It
Big log.
is.
This is our league champion.
It's not.
So I mean,
It's our league champion, but not by roster, by luck. That's a whole different story for another time. But we'll move on to
Yeah, go
George
ahead.
Kittle. I think Kittle. I don't know. I'm not too high on Kittle this year. I'm really not. He's a great tight end, and it's hard for me to see how good he is at the position and not pick him. But I don't know. I'm just not. I don't believe in the Trey Lance news like everyone else. If he's not the
Yeah,
star everyone says, I just don't. I mean, there's a lot of options there. If they're talking about getting Brandon Ayuk more involved, they're talking about Debo Samuel. I think this is going to be a run first team, and he'll be valuable in the run game. But I think you'll see less passing volume. I
yeah.
just I don't know. But I
Uh,
mean, he was going in what, the fourth round, I think. So I mean, it's not the worst round to pick him. He didn't reach for him. So Cam Akers has some questions, obviously. But I mean, when you have him in the flex, he's going in the second and third in some drafts. So I don't think that's a concern. I think that was a good pick to wait on. And I mean, the depth is bad to me. I don't really like Rashad Bateman too much this year. Not high on Mooney. Saying, yeah, none of these guys I'm really too excited about. So he's definitely has some concerns if someone gets injured. But I think starting lineup wise, he's a top three team if they stay healthy.
yeah, I totally agree with the Kittle analysis. He got Kittle in the fifth round. But yeah, I just don't. I'm not on board with Kittle this year. Like you said, with the Trey Lance, I feel like it's a run first offense. I feel like there's going to be just some weeks where you're ripping your hair out when Kittle just hits single digits, and I just don't want to be a part of that at
Yeah,
all.
drafting him in the fourth round, you can't have that as a tight end. Even
Yeah,
but
it's
he'll
just too early of a pick.
And depth. I mean, that's if you're looking for something to move forward with. I think we can all agree that the three quarterbacks. This is what it does to your bench. It doesn't make it look attractive. And
Yeah, yep.
benches. I'm fully of the belief that benches don't win championships, but I'm of that belief in week 9 and not in week 1 because there's a long season and you never know what's going to happen. So I like to have more depth and kind of bring that down throughout the season when it gets closer to the playoffs. But we'll see. We'll see. But I think he's a good roster to start the season for sure.
I think that's another aspect of the in-person draft. I feel like if you're like on an online ESPN draft, this stuff like this would never happen. That's
Nope.
like the fun of fantasy, man. I
Nope.
love it.
You would see the roster spots filling up, and you would be like, "What am I doing?" You know. So
Right.
King of the North, Connor Young, also the guy getting
Um.
beat up in the video for taking Travis Kelsey.
Oh man, yes, Connor. Love Connor to death. Didn't like him after the pick. Um, let's start with the positive. Let's go with the positive with Connor. The first thing when you look at his roster, wide receivers, tight end, Stephon Diggs, Mike Evans, Travis Kelsey. I mean, does it get much better than that three combination? That's just elite, elite. Now, with that strong receiving core, there is a negative effect to it. His starting two running backs are Josh Jacobs and J.K. Dobbins. Now, with Dobbins, will he come back full strength week 1? I don't know. I don't think anyone really knows. And looking at his RB3, Damian Harris, again, I'm in the strong belief of Ramondre Stevenson this year. They shopped Damian. There were rumors that they were shopping Damian Harris. How much confidence will the Patriots and you have in Damian Harris this year? And him sitting as his RB3, I feel like he needed to lock in a safer option in one of the earlier rounds, going risky running backs with Dobbins and Jacobs. I think I seen a report the other day that Jacobs' starting job is not in jeopardy, but it's getting pretty close. So with Dobbins being questionable for like week 1, his health, and Josh Jacobs' job security, I think it's a little shaky. But he does have a QB1 upside quarterback in Russell Wilson, which he took late. He got him in the 10th round. And like I said, Travis Kelsey, elite tight end 1. Stephon Diggs, elite tight end 1. And then Mike Evans is going to give you those week to week elite tight end 1 options or numbers. And yeah, I mean, his wide receiver depth as well. Amon-Ra St. Brown as his wide receiver 3. Allen Lazard as his wide receiver 4. I really love that. Ways to improve this team. I would definitely look to trade for a safer running back if possible. If he could package a couple of those receivers, like his wide receiver 3 or 4 after a couple weeks, transition into a safer option. And I feel like this team, if speaking right now, I think he's on the borderline of making the playoffs with a stronger, safer running back as his running back 2 or 3.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there's a lot of potential with the depth. I do like the depth, and I think there is a trade there, and he's a pretty active on the trade block. So I mean, if he makes a good trade, I think this team could get to that playoff team. But as of now, honestly, I would say outside the playoffs if you were in my opinion. But
Yeah.
that's just my thoughts on J.K. Dobbins. He was very high on him. What if J.K. Dobbins comes back? The Ravens' offense is what it's projected to be, and he's the running back one. Then that's a steal of a pick, and you have Stephon Diggs, Mike Evans, and Travis Kelsey. So, I mean, and I think Josh Jacobs, the news coming out that he's still the running back one and what's supposed to be a better offense. So, I mean, we'll see, but I agree with you. I think there definitely is room for improvement on this roster. I would drop some of those late wide receivers like Kenny Galladay and maybe start looking for some running backs on the waiver wire.
Yeah, and I mean, he even stuck in George Pickens, like it's a wait and see thing. If George Pickens has like a monster first week 1 and week 2, you're gonna get the person to bait on that and buy in on that, and you're gonna be able to trade him for a safe running back. So I feel like the options here on his team, there's options for him to trade, and there's definitely scenarios with certain guys on how they perform the first couple weeks. So I mean, it's more of a wait and see thing for Connor. But
Yeah,
you
NFL
start the
young
draft
boy.
off with Diggs. Yeah, NFL young boy. That's just awesome.
Yeah,
But Diggs, Kelsey, and Evans, that's such a strong start. I can't not say that enough. That's absolute elite start to the
yeah. Just gotta hope one of those running back hits. And
Yep,
his teams.
absolutely.
All right,
Absolutely.
and we'll move on to our last and final team with one of the goated names of all, off the grandma. And I will say it so it makes more sense. Nobody beats off the grandma.
Nobody.
What a classic. But going in more depth on the team, I love DeAndre Swift. I'm a big fan of him this year, but there's always questions with the line running back at the running back one. And I also love Elijah Mitchell, if we're moving to that question. But I mean, I think that's without question him being out in the offseason, new quarterback, new system, Kyle Shanahan. I mean, there's always questions with Elijah Mitchell, but I mean, if you get
Yeah.
the running back one for San Francisco, that's a steal. But that's the question. Is it's always just like unpredictable. But he proved
Every
it
year.
last. Yeah, he proved it last year. He was great last year. No reason why he wouldn't, other than the injury. But I mean, if he's as good as he was last year, there's no reason for not. He's better than any running back in that room, in my opinion. So I think he has the skill to do it again. So, and then Justin Jefferson with his first overall pick. This was a bold one for me. This might sound biased, but it's not really. I love Justin Jefferson actually this year. If we're talking fantasy, I mean, I think he's great. I think he's going to get an insane amount of targets. I think he's going to be in a better offense with the new system. But again, there's a new system. It could go down. I'm not saying it will. I think the old run the damn ball system is out the window. But I think with Justin Jefferson being in the system, I really like him. I really do. But over Cooper Cup was tough for me. I just think Cooper Cup is so consistent and gets so many
Yeah.
targets. It's tough. It's tough. But I
I'm in
mean,
that same boat with you, for sure.
we'll see though. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm wrong. I mean, he definitely has wide receiver one upside. So he's calling his shot. I guess we'll see. But the other wide receivers on the team is where I start to see the Mark Andrews pick a little more affecting. Michael Thomas and DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf was a late pick. I think that's a steal from where he took him. But
Yes.
relying on Michael Thomas and DK Metcalf with Drew Lock, is just it's a little scary to me, and the fact that Hunter Renfrow is his only other option there. I think Devontae Adams takes that PPR role from him, and he doesn't have as much value. So, I mean, if I were him, I'd definitely focus on gaining some more receivers and looking into it, and then maybe some running back depth because I mean Antonio Gibson fell a lot, and I don't think it was a bad pick because he did fall so much. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, what you're hearing from training camp, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes out.
It's scary, man.
Yeah.
It really is.
So
Absolutely scary.
I like the Michael Carter late ad based off the news. He's still working with the ones, so that might be a good selection. And the Lamar pick, I really do like the Lamar pick. This team's hard for me to judge because it's all relying on Lamar a lot to me because he has Mark Andrews and Lamar Jackson. I mean, that's the stack. But so if Lamar kills it and Mark Andrews kills it, it's going to be a hard team to beat every week. And then you add Justin Jefferson and DeAndre Swift. I mean, it's a good roster, right? I think though,
Yeah.
with the amount of questions that are going around the offense and the lack of wide receiver two flex, I think he's right on that spot of fighting for the playoffs, looking for a 6 spot.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you said about Lamar and Mark Andrews. When you have a stack in the first 5 rounds like that, your team's definitely going to be reliant on that stack. So yeah, I 100% agree. But like Jefferson and Swift falling back to him is the biggest like positive for his team. Like Swift should not have made it back to him. He'll never make it back there in mock drafts. If you do mocks, you'll never get Swift to almost be the third pick in the second round or the third last pick in the second round. Sorry. Um, but yeah, that stack is definitely going to be the one to look at. And then I think we had this on last episode, the rapid fire question. Elijah Mitchell or Cam Akers. I think we're both in the belief that we would take Cam Akers over him. With Elijah Mitchell already being hurt in training camp, injury progresses. I know it's a hamstring, so just something to monitor. And then Michael Thomas as well, another hamstring injury. And then DK Metcalf falling into the seventh is absolutely ridiculous. I love DK. I probably should have retched on him a little bit further looking back. That's one of my regrets. So, yeah, I love DK in the seventh for him. And like you said, Gibson, the news coming out, him being a punt returner. We'll have to see how that plays out. But overall, I think I agree with your analysis on Jake's team for sure.
Yeah. All right. Let's go back to what you said before in the trade. I think
Yeah,
I think it was a good analysis of the league. Again, I think there is a lot of good teams this year. It's kind of our league. I mean, it's what we're known for is everyone usually has around the same record. So that's why it's so hard to judge. And we didn't want to do it at first. It's just like I think everyone has a good team and an absolute path to get there. It's just you have to make your decision. 4 teams aren't going to make it, so someone's got to be the odd man out. With this amount of good teams in a 10-man league, you got to
yeah,
knock someone off the board. So talking
yeah.
back to the trade, I traded DeAndre Hopkins for um, DeAndre Hopkins and James Cook for Kareem Hunt. And I think Paul, if you want to go your analysis, you know
Yeah,
why I did it. I think you explained this pretty
yeah.
well.
Oh yeah, so if you listen to episode 2, you know Nate. We talked about it. Nate's one of those guys that's always active on the waiver wire, always at making trades. Uh, if we could have placed a bet, I would have bet Nate to make the first trade in the league. Absolutely, I would have sold my house, all my money on Nate to make the first trade. Um, yeah, this is definitely a good trade for you. I feel like getting rid of the Hopkins situation for 6 weeks and your tendency in fantasy that would not have worked. And James Cook, his values at his absolute. I feel like James Cook is. I mean, who knows what the backfield situation is going to be with him and Devin Singletary. And I feel like you got more of a safe option at Kareem Hunt, and just getting rid of that DeAndre Hopkins 6 week headache for you. It opens up a bench spot with you also getting a solid running back too. I feel
I
like
don't
it's a
think
no brainer for
Tanner
you.
I don't think Tanner lost the trade necessarily either because he doesn't. Not that he doesn't trade; he's pretty active. But I'm just saying, like I think he's more. He doesn't do as many ways. I mean, I just I mean, I have the most trades and pickups every year, and it's not even
Every year.
close. Yeah, so I think he has more of an ability to hold him on his roster. And then if you're holding Kareem Hunt, like he might be an okay flex, but most of the time you're not. I mean, you're gonna want. Yeah, you'd be a good flex, maybe RB2 if you have stacked wide receivers, but I mean, I think Tanner has a good running backs to start. I don't think he's going to need Kareem Hunt. And I mean, the fact that I get Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt as my backup is the big thing. He
That's the
doesn't
biggest
have him as a
outlier that I
handcuff.
forgot.
Yeah, he doesn't have him as a handcuff, so it doesn't affect him as much. But me getting that value, Nick Chubb goes down, was the biggest thing for me. So I really don't know. I wouldn't say he lost the trade. I wouldn't say I won the trade or lost the trade. I would say I think it did have an advantage for both our teams because I think his running backs are a little safer, and then he moves into having a better wide receiver in week 7 when he comes back. So if you're willing to hold it, DeAndre Hopkins is a top 5 guy talent wise. So you never know. So
Yeah, I really like that trade for you. Like I think we had like a little vote in the group chat. I think it was pretty fair for both sides, but I think for your overall roster, I think that was 100% the right move.
for sure. All right. Sorry we went a little longer today, but we had to get all the teams in and give you our opinion. But thanks again for coming out, and I hope to see you again next Tuesday.
Have a good one, guys.